By day, he is a husband, father, and boring old fart. But by night, he's, well, the same. But he also does stuff. Hello and welcome to That Mental Ginger Show with me, Andrew the Mental Ginger. Because if there's one thing that's more disturbing than being a ginger, it's being a ginger with mental health issues. So let's see what we've got on the show for you tonight. Stuff! The theme of tonight's show is mental health, to tie in with Mental Health Awareness Week. I know it was last week, but I do like to do things a little bit late. Our special guest tonight is Ross Wallace, who is a mental health support worker. He'll be chatting to us about his journey from the performing arts to becoming a mental health support worker. First, I'm actually going to say a little something about mental health. As many people know, I have my own issues with mental health, which is why it's called That Mental Ginger Show. I was going to be doing a talk about mental health at my work before the coronavirus pandemic kicked off, and I don't want to leave it going to waste, so I decided to record it, and I'm just going to put it on my show. Why not? So, enjoy. Allow me to present you with a scenario. It's Monday morning. You arrive at work and meet a colleague. After dispensing with the pleasantries, what's the first question you ask? How was your weekend? Now it's the end of the day. If only every day at work was that quick. You come home to your partner, your family. What's the first question that they ask? How was work? What's the most common response to both of these questions? Fine. For most people, fine is like the Ron seal of answers. It does exactly what it says on the tin. But for me, fine always had a deeper meaning. Freaked out, insecure, neurotic, extremely busy. This was never more accurate than on the 3rd of April 2018. I was working away quietly when suddenly I got a call from my pregnant wife. She never phoned me at work. I phoned her back and she said, Andrew, you need to come home. Something's wrong. I hung up the phone, grabbed my coat and left. Alison was rushed to hospital for an emergency C-section, and our two beautiful boys, Kieran and Connor, were born 10 weeks premature, weighing only 6 pounds combined. For most parents, your child being born is the happiest time of your life, but for me, it was hell. Only being able to see my sons through an incubator, listening to the constant bleeping of monitors, and all the while knowing there was nothing I could do to help. But on the rare occasion someone asked me how I was, what do you think was my response? Fine. Looking back, I've probably struggled with mental health issues ever since I was a child, especially when you see some pictures of me from when I was young. I was, and still am, very shy and sensitive, but in the 90s I was just a big Jessie. For those who haven't been to Scotland or are not familiar with Scottish colloquialisms, it means a wimp. Society told me to bottle up my emotions. So I did. When the boys were neonatal, I was told to stay strong. So I did. I thought nothing bad would happen. But it did. During our son's final week in hospital, Alison and I were rooming in with the boys. 4 people, 1 room, all day, every day, for a week. There were no nurses around, unless it was an emergency, and the beeps that once drove us to distraction were silent. This was it. One more hurdle to jump. After 5 long weeks, we could take our boys home. But the emotional thunderstorm that was building up inside me, it came to a head and struck me down like a lightning bolt. I began experiencing hallucinations. thinking I was hurting my sons. But to me, these weren't hallucinations. I could feel every smack, I could hear every scream. This had to be real. Couldn't tell a soul for fear of what would happen. When we finally came home, the hallucinations became more frequent, and over the months that followed, my perception of reality became out of sync with everyone else's. People saw a loving but struggling father. However, when I looked in the mirror, all I saw was darkness. The only option left, take your own life. And when at first I didn't succeed, I had to try again. I went into the boys' room to say my final goodbyes, but when I saw them sleeping in their cots, I couldn't do it. For a moment, I could see what everyone else saw. I was in the eye of the storm. I ran to my wife and I told her everything I'd been going through. Finally admitted that I needed help. I owe so much to Alison for being there through all of this. After my confession, she could have left, taken the boys with her, and I wouldn't have blamed her, but she didn't. Alison saw the husband I was and the father that I wanted to be. She pulled me out of the darkness and dragged me to the doctors to get help, where I was diagnosed with psychosis. I could not believe what I was hearing. What was going to happen to me? What was going to happen to my family? Was I going to be put in a straitjacket, locked in a padded cell for the rest of my life? That's how psychos are portrayed in the media, so I thought that must be what happens, right? Wrong. The hallucinations I was experiencing were actually quite common. 1 in 20 people will have a hallucination in their lifetime that is not related to alcohol or drugs. Psychotic episodes can happen to anyone, and more importantly, you can overcome them. I was put on a suicide watch, and after facing some very hard truths about myself, I was given antipsychotic medication and had my dosage of antidepressants increased. Sadly, contrary to popular belief, you can't just take a pill and everything's rosy. Medication can help, but say you break your leg, you don't just take painkillers for it, do you? It's put in a cast, and when the time's right, you start going to rehab to help make it better. So I had to begin my own mental health rehabilitation. I was assigned a mental health nurse and I attended counselling once a week for 6 months. They referred me to stress control classes, arranged cognitive behavioural therapy, and most importantly, helped me understand how this happened to me. The mental health team helped me get to a headspace where I knew that I had never and will never harm my sons. Being treated for mental health issues is like living in a bubble. Inside this bubble, you have your own little world of recovery, a safe place where you can be yourself. However, outside of the bubble, there's the real world, and people in it still need you. Transitioning between these two worlds every day is exhausting. You spend all day building a wall to function in the real world, just to break it back down again when you return to your safe bubble. This couldn't last forever. I needed to find some sort of balance, but where would I find it? Well, in the most unlikely place of all, work. While I was recovering, I went to work every day. Sometimes I even did overtime. I never thought I'd find myself saying these words, but going to work was a huge benefit to my mental health. One day, a friend at work asked me how I was feeling, and I was about to just say, fine, but then that lightning bolt struck again. I wasn't ready to talk to my family, but to really start recovering, I needed to step out of my bubble. So, I swallowed my pride and said, actually, I'm really struggling. Can I please talk to you? I'm not going to lie and say it's been smooth sailing since then. While I'm really grateful to have come this far in such a short space of time, I know there's a lot of work that needs to be done to stamp out the stigma that surrounds mental health. 1 in 4 people suffer from mental health issues, but that figure is only based on those who've had the confidence to get help. The reality is more like 1 in 2. That's not to take away from the good work that people do to raise awareness, but if we were doing enough, I wouldn't need to make this video, would I? Because mental health isn't a one-time thing. It doesn't come around for an awareness week and then bog off again. It doesn't give a damn about gender, race, or social status. It could happen to anyone at any time. Could be a member of your family. Could be the person that's listening to this right now. So the next time someone asks how you are, don't be afraid to say more than just fine. We may have found this work-life balance. Mental health doesn't have one.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the poor unfortunate soul who is tonight's special guest.
Ross, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for being a guest today.
Hi Andrew, I just wanted to say thank you very much for letting me be part of your show. I do listen to it every week and I really enjoy it.
You're very welcome. It's nice to know that at least one person actually listens to the show. So I'll jump into the first question, which is, what drove you to pursue a career in mental health?
So what drove me to mental health was probably due to my own mental health. I decided after a while that I wanted to do a course on finding out more about mental health, and I decided. So I did a course that was understanding mental health. I realised I was really enjoying the topic and knowing that people are going through probably worse than what I have just made me want to be able to help people. I applied for kind of support worker job. I didn't think I was going to get it. Managed to get it, and ever since then it's just been so rewarding to help people with their mental health and to be more open, because these people that I work with don't talk to other people sometimes, and just being able to be one of those people that they can just chat away to just means so much to me. So yeah, I would say probably the rewarding aspect of helping people who have been through a lot worse than me, and just having a bright positive in these people's days.
You've had your own personal experience with mental health issues. If you feel comfortable talking about it, can you tell us a bit more about your experiences and how you overcame these hurdles?
Yeah, so my issues with mental health kind of stems from 2013. I had just recently been dumped by my ex-girlfriend. I wasn't talking to my dad. So I got to the stage of not wanting to be here anymore. So I decided that I was going to go to a bridge and, well, you know the rest. So yeah, I kind of struggled with talking about feelings until I was forced to when I was stopped by my mum that specific day. And yeah, I was very open about my feelings, and I was for many years. I have kind of got back to not really talk about my feelings, but that's mostly due to confidence issues. To deal with these kind of hurdles I faced, recently I've been to a doctor and they've diagnosed me with depression. So he gave me some medication and they've been managing to help. Yeah, it's been quite helpful. Another way I kind of overcame this was, which you obviously know, is I wrote a play just talking about my feelings and get my feelings out there, which was really relaxing to do. I have also confronted my dad, try to get answers. Unfortunately, I didn't get the answers or the closure, really. I would still like to ask him more, but that's for another time. I would say I set up an Instagram page as well, where I talk to people who's got mental health problems or help those with mental health problems, and it's really rewarding and it's absolutely brilliant to hear so many different stories and how people have overcame stuff like doing meditation, just relaxing, writing the feelings down, writing a good thing, one good thing a day is just absolutely brilliant. Me personally, my family, I'm really grateful for my family. They've helped me massively. My partner, and the fact that I'm now a dad as well to a beautiful little girl. So all these kind of things have contributed to me still being here today, and it just really means a lot to me to know that I've got these barriers to hold back the hurdles.
You and I actually met through the performing arts, that shared love of acting and script writing in particular. Has that been helpful to you during your recovery?
So yeah, acting and writing has been really rewarding. Like you said, you and I met through our college experience and I wouldn't change it at all. It was absolutely fantastic. The second year of college is kind of roughly about the time that I was going through really bad feelings. However, I think it went really well. Acting kind of made me a different person, and that really helped me because I wasn't worrying about my own feelings. I was worrying about the character's feelings, and you know that yourself, like you become a different person, and it was just extraordinary to be to be able to combat that, because at the time I was going through all this stuff. I was doing The Wonderful World of Dyssocia, which is like a very bizarre play, and it's a comedy. And at that time, I was probably the funniest I've ever been in college. So that's just, it was absolutely mad how good that was. And obviously my writing, it is helping me get down my feelings. Like I said, I wrote a play about my feelings, about my life, and it was just really good to get my feelings out. I did have a few cries when I was writing it, just because I was remembering stuff that I kind of don't really want to remember. And there was points of the play where I was quite emotional to write. I am currently writing another play, and that's helping me just now, especially with trying to get through lockdown and work and everything. It's just craziness right now. So the play that I'm doing right now is just kind of keeping my mind busy and keeping me away from those kind of bad thoughts.
How has the coronavirus impacted your work in the mental health sector?
Yeah, coronavirus has impacted quite a lot about my work. First off, we got less shifts as people were cancelling their support. I think this is mostly due to their families being scared that they might get something, or we could even have the cold or something and give it to somebody. I think that's kind of what was worrying them. We are being more protected. We're wearing masks and gloves a lot more now. We did use them before, but we're using them all the time. And we're keeping the social distance, but it's been quite hard because obviously with personal care and everything, it's really hard to do that. But we just let whatever they can do, they do themselves, and we'll try and just pick up the rest. I get quite worried in case I have something and potentially give it to somebody that's very, very vulnerable. So it has impacted my own thinking quite a lot, and it has impacted people's feelings, especially their mental health, because they don't get the support, they don't get the time with people, and I think that's kind of impacts them in a really bad way, to make them feel less worthy, but not less worthy, if you know what I mean. So it has been really hard to kind of try and build these people back up, but I've managed to start picking up phone shifts so we can call them, see them, make sure they're okay, and make sure that their mental health is doing good too, because that's kind of a big worry, especially in this kind of day and age.
You recently wrote a play about your own journey with mental health, and you're currently working on another one. Would you like to tell us a bit more about these projects, and if you're considering putting them into production at some point in the future?
Writing plays has been a lot of fun for me. It's been very emotional as well. Like I've mentioned before, and I always talk about, is my play that I wrote about my life. So this basically stems from when I was 9 to kind of when I reached the stage of wanting to not be here anymore, to what I would like to say to my dad, because when I was 9 I was promised all these kind of things, but they never ever came to be, and I really struggled with that. So yeah, it's basically what I would want to say to him if we ever met face to face. Play does have a lot to it, and it's my kind of build up as well into becoming a lot better, and how I not defeated my mental health, but managed to overcome it at that particular time in my life. It was very hard to write. I loved it, but I'm not really sure what I'm doing with it quite yet. I did think about producing it or getting it up on stage and all that, but I'm not really too sure what I'm doing with it yet. I'm happy I've wrote it, and that can just go to the back burner for a little while until I can decide what I want to do with it. So that play is called Resilience, A Story of Mental Illness, and it's just me trying to be resilient and coming back to normality, I guess. I did really enjoy writing it, and I hope people enjoyed reading it, to be honest. My new play is a completely different one. I mentioned Wonderful World of Dyssocia earlier. It's a kind of spin-off of that and A Christmas Carol. So it's kind of comedy, kind of drama. It's quite hard to explain, but I'm not really talking too much about that one till I'm 100% sure what I'm going to do with it. After a while, I might produce my new one, just because it's more fun and more light-hearted than the story of my life. So I have got many ideas in my head for other plays, and they might go down on paper eventually, but we'll just have to wait and see. But I'm very excited to get the realities one done and just get it done, and so people can see if it's good enough to even get produced.
You have your own YouTube channel as well, Ross Wallace, for anybody that wants to like and subscribe. And it's devoted to understanding mental health, and it's gained a lot of positive responses from myself as well. Are you going to continue with any of these in the future?
Yeah, the YouTube channel was just to raise awareness for mental health, all the kind of different types of mental health, because not many people know how many there is. And not many people know the kind of symptoms or what people go through when they've got these mental health issues. So yeah, my job was just to kind of raise awareness for it. And before I went to the doctors regarding my mental health, I kind of self-diagnosed myself. I wasn't surprised when I got diagnosed with that, but I feel like I've raised enough awareness for mental health at the moment. I don't have any plans to do YouTube again, not in the near future. And if I do anything for YouTube, it probably might not be mental health related. I'm not 100% sure yet. I'll have to have a long think about it. But at the moment, I'm just kind of enjoying time away from it. And if I ever feel like I want to go back to it, then I know exactly where to go.
Right now, many people are struggling to achieve positive mental health due to the lockdown caused by coronavirus. Do you have any tips or tricks to help those people who are maybe struggling?
Yeah, lockdown has gave people a lot of time to play with, and a lot of people have found it quite hard, especially in their mental health. But I mean, if people are spending time alone, there is a lot to do that you could feel a bit more positive with. If you've wanted to do something your whole life, now's the time to do it. Because this lockdown, I mean, for all we know, in the next couple of weeks' time, it could ease, and we won't have as much time as we've got now. So if you want to write that book, write that play, do it. If you want to read that book, I think you should do it. Do a jigsaw, bake, play something, like your PlayStation or Xbox, or even if you've got kids, play with the kids. There's so many things that people should do, especially at this kind of time, because when else are you going to be able to do it? Me personally, if I have the time, the day off, I like going for walks, reading my book, playing the PlayStation, watching TV, binge watching on Netflix. There's so much that we can do, and so much that I feel positive with. Even if you've got social media, or if you've got Zoom or FaceTime, just talk to somebody. If you've got a phone, just phone somebody and let them know that you're thinking of them. Everybody needs to be in this together. I don't want people to feel like they're alone when they're not, because the last thing that people should feel is alone, especially during this lockdown time, is just, you just need to be there for each other. I just want to say, Andrew, thank you very much for letting me be part of this. It's been absolutely fantastic, and I've managed to get some feelings out that I've not really talked about for a long time, so thank you very much for that, and all the best with this show.
Ross, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you very much for talking to us today. Well, everyone, that's the end of our show today. I want to thank you all for tuning in, and a special thank you to Ross Wallace for being our special guest. Next week is the last episode. I'm just pausing so you can all take that in and go, oh no, please come back. So until next time, take care, stay safe, bye bye.
This is a song from the broken psyche. Mental health issues are silent but deadly. Anxiety cripples and depression kills. You beg your demons every day. It's a battle of wills. In my mind, it's now or never. Don't wanna be on meds forever. I just wanna live a normal life. soon subside in my mind. To all of those afflicted, I'm here to say, we'll get through it together, day by day. The war inside your mind, it can still be won. Won't lie and say it's easy, but it can be done. In my mind, I always panic. Neuroses just queue up like traffic, but I still try to live a normal life. In my mind, sadly it's not quite that easy. Talking to people makes me queasy. My confidence keeps falling to the side. In my mind, see a closed door, don't know who's inside. Do I walk in proud? Do I run and hide? In my mind, I control my instinct, but even now it's so persistent. Will I ever have a normal life? In my mind, there's still a box that I can't open. Though my resolve will not be broken, one day I will have a normal